Since the first game launched back in 1997, the Fallout franchise has released a total of 6 titles and racked up sales exceeding 50 million copies. Fallout 1 and 2 still to this day have some of the richest worlds, while Fallout 3 and 4 allowed us to explore wastelands in 3D. And Fallout 76, well, let's just say it's that weird cousin everyone prefers not to talk about during Thanksgiving. And now, after binge-watching the Fallout TV series, a wave of nostalgia hit me. I wanted to experience that unique wasteland charm again. And while each Fallout game offers distinct flavor and scratches a specific itch, Fallout New Vegas just hits different. And seeing New Vegas teased in the show made me legit giddy. None of the other games in the series so masterfully blur the lines between right and wrong, between black and white, offering you no good paths, just lessers of evil. But it's been over a decade since I last played it. Back then I was just a broke college student trying to run it on a potato of a laptop. Maybe I'm looking at it through rose-tinted glasses. So, is Fallout New Vegas truly the pinnacle of the franchise? Or is it just my nostalgia talking? To answer this, I decided to replay Fallout New Vegas and break down what exactly sets it apart.
You've made your last delivery, kid. Sorry you got twisted up in this scene. From where you're kneeling must seem like an 18-carat run of bad luck. Truth is, the game was rigged from the start.
I've always enjoyed how different Fallout games begin their stories. Fallout 3 starts with your birth and a coming of age inside a vault, while Fallout New Vegas begins with, well, your death. This initial moment sets a starkly different tone from anything we've seen in the franchise. I mean, the game literally starts with a gunshot to the head and a shallow grave in the Mojave Desert. From the moment you're dug out of that grave by a cowboy robot, the narrative throws you into a world that's far from the straightforward hero's journey. Here in New Vegas, you're not born into chaos, you're resurrected into it. The opening sequence quickly establishes the game's thematic foundation: identity, morality, and the quest for vengeance.
Whoa, easy there, easy. You've been out cold a couple of days now. Why don't you just relax a second? Get your bearings. Let's see what the damage is.
As you sit in Doc Mitchell's office, piecing your character together through a psychological evaluation questionnaire and Rorschach test, the character creation process serves as another piece to reflect the narrative itself. You're literally reconstructing who you are, both physically and metaphorically. Who is this person staring back from the mirror? A fighter? A smooth talker? A cunning survivalist? This moment isn't just about building a character's skills, it's about establishing who you are after your life was nearly stolen away, and about defining the lens through which you'll view the wasteland and the choices you'll make. This juxtaposition of death and rebirth immediately immerses you in the harsh realities of New Vegas. You're just a courier who was dealt a bad set of cards, and your journey so far is nothing out of the ordinary. Yes, even the gunshot to the head. In Fallout, you can unload a full magazine in someone's head at point-blank range just to get their attention. It's a world where there are as many shades between black and white as in that one book that originated from the Twilight fanfiction series. Here, the survival hinges not just on your ability to fight or barter, but on the decisions you make that will lead to far-reaching consequences. As you step into the blinding light of the Mojave Desert for the first time, the game opens up like a well-worn map that has seen its shares of travels, but it's still filled with opportunities and dangers. This moment marks the true beginning of your journey, not just to track down the man who shot you, but to define your role in the larger conflicts happening throughout the Mojave. By the way, that's it for the introduction to the game. No hand-holding or forced tutorials. You can now go and do whatever you want to do. Main quest points you to New Vegas, so you could follow that to quickly learn that in Wasteland's food chain, there's deathclaws, cute butterflies, rad scorpions, everything else, and then you. If you have seen any of my previous videos, you know that I enjoy well-written protagonists that undergo some form of development and change throughout the story. In Fallout New Vegas, you are the protagonist, but your story or character development is not predetermined. It's up to you to decide what you will go through. Will you change for the better or for worse? Take Goodsprings for example, the first town you wander into. It's a small settlement that's under threat from a gang of escaped convicts called Powder Gangers. Do you stand with the townsfolk, defending them and earning their trust? Or do you side with the convicts for a quick payoff, betraying those who helped you recover? The Goodsprings dilemma is not just your first test of allegiance, it's a microcosm of the entire game. Here, just like throughout the Wasteland, your actions determine your relationships, shape communities, and ultimately, sculpt the landscape of this world.
Time to look alive. The Powder Gangers are here to play.
Fallout New Vegas takes place in Nevada and California, 204 years after a devastating nuclear war between the United States and China, known as the Great War. For reference, Fallout 76, Fallout 1, Fallout Tactics, and Fallout 3 all happened before the events of New Vegas. And over the last 2 centuries, this wasteland has changed a lot. Different groups and ideologies have come and gone, but for this moment in time, there are 3 major factions that you will encounter in your story. Well, 4 in reality, but more on that later. First, the New California Republic, or the NCR for short, is one of the largest factions in the game, representing a government that tries to restore order and democracy to the wasteland. They are bureaucratic, overstretched, and often corrupt, but they also bring security and some semblance of law. When you first encounter the NCR, they're struggling to extend their control over New Vegas and its surrounding areas, battling both logistical nightmares and fierce opposition.
We were sent out here to hold back the tide of convicts from the correctional facility. As you can probably tell, we aren't doing the kind of job we could be doing. A little bit ago, the convicts there staged a coup. Killed the guards that weren't able to escape. I'm trying to get some reinforcements here, maybe some guns with some firepower, but shit. Things are just going slow.
Such moments are not an exception, but a norm. In your quest through the Mojave, you'll witness how NCR's intention to protect the residents often conflicts with their methods, which can be heavy-handed. Deciding whether to support their expansionist policies or foil their efforts can drastically change the story's trajectory. Supporting the NCR can bring stability at the cost of freedom, while opposing them might foster independence, but also chaos. In stark contrast stands Caesar's Legion, a slaver society modeled after the Roman Empire, led by their charismatic and ruthless leader, Caesar. They are known for their brutal tactics, including crucifixion and enslavement, all justified by their desire and vision to impose a new order onto the wasteland.
Long-term stability at all costs. The individual has no value beyond his utility to the state, whether as an instrument of war or production. We have cities of our own, but nothing compared to Vegas. Finally, my legion will have its Rome.
Engaging with Caesar's Legion presents a question. Can the peace and order they promise justify their savage methods? Your interactions with the Legion can range from open hostility to cautious alliances, and siding with them can significantly alter how other factions and characters perceive you. And then there's Mr. House as the third faction, the enigmatic ruler of New Vegas, a pre-war businessman who survived through cryogenic technology. Mr. House is a visionary who plans to restore New Vegas to its pre-war glory, using his army of Securitrons and strategic approach.
You have entered a... You have been warned. Extermination imminent.
Mr. House offers a path of technological advancement and autocracy. Aligning with him means supporting a technological dictatorship where order and prosperity are ensured by a single, unchanging ruler. Your decision to support or oppose Mr. House will not only decide the fate of New Vegas, but also define the technological ethos of the Mojave. And lastly, as I mentioned earlier, there is a fourth faction in a way. It's for those who don't believe in the bureaucracy of the NCR, the brutality of the Legion, or the autocracy of Mr. House. There is another path to lead New Vegas to an independent future, where the city is free from external control. And that path is you, with a bit of help.
Hey! Hi there! Good to meet you. What can I do for you today?
Choosing to pursue an independent Vegas through the guidance of Yes Man is perhaps the ultimate expression of freedom in the game. However, it's a path full of challenges, as freedom often comes at the cost of security and stability. All of these factions have their pros and cons. None of them are inherently the quote-unquote good path. Moving from one town to another, you encounter factions fighting for power, each with their own ideologies and plans for the future of this wasteland. You're free to choose and flip-flop between factions based on the context of each situation, but your interactions with these factions aren't just transactional. They're transformational to the wasteland, and in turn, your character's development.
Cut it out!
fuck are you doing? My brother died at the Battle of Hoover Dam. You're desecrating a war memorial. Oh, now it's on!
But each game has its special moments. Moments that you simply won't forget. For me, it was the moment I started the quest Keep Your Eyes on the Prize and decided to visit Nipton, a small town just east of Mojave military outpost. But before you can enter the town, you run into a man crazed with both joy and terror.
Yeah! Who won the lottery? I did! Smell that air! Couldn't you just drink it like booze? What lottery? The lottery, that's what lottery! Are you stupid? Only lottery that matters. Oh my god, smell that air!
What lottery could he possibly mean in this desolate place? As you watch him disappear into the distance, you're left with a chilling sense of foreboding. And now, driven with a mix of confusion, fear, and curiosity, you enter Nipton, and a nightmarish scene unfolds in front of you. The town is a smoldering ruin. Buildings are torched, smoke billows into the sky, and the stench of charred flesh permeates the air. You're walking into a tomb. And then you see them, the bodies. Not just the bodies, but warnings. Some are crucified along the roadside, others are burned at stakes. Each one is a grotesque marker of the Legion's brutality. This is no mere attack, it's an exhibition, a message written in blood and fire. And now, the grim lottery prize becomes clear. The man you met wasn't celebrating his fortune, he was relishing his escape from death, chosen by chance to live while his neighbors perished. The so-called lottery was a twisted game by Caesar's Legion, meant to instill fear and demonstrate their merciless idea of justice.
Nipton was a wicked place, debased and corrupt. It served all comers, so long as they paid. Profligate troops, powder gangers, men of the Legion, such as myself. The people here didn't care. It was a town of whores. For a pittance, the town agreed to lead those it had sheltered into a trap. Only when I sprang it did they realize they were caught inside it too. Yes, and herded them to the center of town. I told them their sins, the foremost being disloyalty. I told them that when legionaries are disloyal, some are punished, the others made to watch. And I announced the lottery. Each clutched his ticket, hoping it would set him free. Each did nothing, even when loved ones were dragged away to be killed.
In this moment, standing amidst the ruins of Nipton, you have a choice. How do you respond to such cruelty? Do you seek vengeance for the slaughtered people, risking the battle against the Legion? Do you walk away, preserving your strength for battles yet to come? Or maybe you think this is harsh, but a fair punishment for the town's corruption and vice that will serve as a strong example to others. Your reaction to this situation can influence your standing with the various factions, but more importantly, it serves as a reflection of your own moral compass. Nipton is a turning point, a stark reminder that in Mojave, morality is not black and white. It's a spectrum of grays, shaped by survival, vengeance, and the ever-present shadow of death. As you leave Nipton, the gravity of your decision settles in. The moral compass guiding you is not just about navigating quests and enemies, it's about shaping your humanity amidst the chaos of the wasteland. Regardless of your choice in the moment, who you are after leaving Nipton is something completely different than who you were before entering it. I've always loved stories within stories, be it side missions in The Witcher 3 or the optional quests in Red Dead Redemption 2. As these stories went above and beyond in telling you about this world that you're in right now. And Nipton is just the first taste of such stories in Fallout New Vegas. Although it is short-lived, it gives you so much just because you stumbled in. Some other stories start more in line of what you would expect in such games. For example, the quest Return to Sender, where you have to deliver radio security upgrade codes to a bunch of different ranger stations. It's one of those typical side quests where you have to travel large distances across the map to visit some small camps and speak with one person for like 10 seconds. You know the type. Here are some faraway locations, go explore the map. But this one doesn't end with just a pat on the back and 200 caps that will barely cover like 2 stimpaks. No, this quest transforms into a tale of moral conflict and disillusionment. As you trek from one outpost to another, the isolation and strain on the NCR soldiers become apparent. Each outpost tells a story of soldiers stretched too thin and a command structure frying at the edges. But it's not until you meet Chief Hanlon at Camp Golf that the truth of the quest is revealed. When you meet him, he greets you not with a bureaucratic detachment, but with mild resignation. And as you talk, Hanlon reveals that he has been manipulating intelligence reports. His actions are born out of deep-seated disillusionment with the NCR's war efforts, a sentiment echoed with many veterans who've seen too much bloodshed for too little gain.
People back home don't listen. They don't care. Senators, Brahmin barons, folks who are just trying to make it from day to day. It's been so many years that people forget about it. Conscription brings in fresh troops that die here every month, like it's routine. And even if we hold this dam, what then? Are we going to send the NCR's men and women to die here for another 5 years? 10? Patrol the whole length of the Colorado for hundreds of miles? Holding this dam, it'll be the death of us.
Hanlon sees the repeat of history's mistakes in the NCR's expansionist policies and fears that the pursuit of power and territory will only lead to more pointless deaths. His sabotage of the radio communications is a desperate attempt to pull the NCR back from a war he believes they are doomed to lose, hoping to save lives in the process. Here is a man wielding the only power he thinks he has left, the power to mislead, to prevent a greater evil. And of course, this revelation forces you to make another choice. Do you expose Hanlon's actions, adhering to the NCR's code but potentially sending more soldiers to their deaths? Or do you keep his secret, condoning his deceit but possibly averting a doomed military campaign? This decision isn't just about choosing sides. It's about deciding what kind of moral actor you want to be in this world. The quest Return to Sender encapsulates the essence of Fallout's New Vegas narrative depth. It challenges you to think critically about leadership, war, and the impact of individual actions on collective fates. Like the real-world conflicts it references, the quest doesn't offer easy answers. Instead, it presents war complexities and the burdens those who lead carry with them, sometimes leading them to make controversial choices they believe are for the greater good. Stories such as this enrich your understanding of the world and challenge your perceptions. As you journey through the Mojave, these stories within stories forge your identity not only as a player in this world, but as a thinker, a survivor, and ultimately, just another cog in the wheel. But at least you can choose which wheel you'll be a cog in. While the NCR cog essentially spins the mantra of "bring back the old world," the wheels driven by Caesar and Mr. House are far more, let's say, peculiar, since both of them shape the Mojave with their unique visions. These two aren't just part of the story, they are central figures whose decisions and ideologies dictate the flow of life and power across the desert. Caesar, the self-proclaimed dictator of Caesar's Legion, is far from a one-dimensional villain. His character is a study in contrast and contradictions, blending classical education with brutal militarism. He was once a member of the Followers of the Apocalypse, an organization dedicated to spreading knowledge and aid in the post-apocalyptic world. However, his transformation into Caesar marked a drastic shift from scholar to tyrant, driven by a deeply held belief in autocracy as the only viable solution to the chaos of the wasteland. Caesar's philosophy is heavily influenced by his reading of historical texts, particularly regarding the Roman Empire. He adopts Roman strategies not only in military tactics, but in societal structure, law, and governance. His intellectual approach is clinical, viewing the harsh conditions of the wasteland as a crucible for forging a new, stronger society. To him, the brutalities of the Legion, slavery, crucifixion, or subjugation are not merely acts of domination but necessary evils to maintain order and discipline.
I used Imperial Rome as the model for my Legion precisely because it was so foreign, so alien. I'd seen what had become of the NCR's attempts to emulate the culture of pre-war America, the infighting, the corruption. Rome was a highly militarized autocracy that effectively integrated the foreign cultures it conquered. It dedicated its citizens to something higher than themselves, to the idea of Rome itself. In Rome, I found a template for a society equal to the challenges of the post-apocalyptic world. A society that could and would survive. A society that could prevent mankind from fracturing and destroying itself in this new world by establishing a new Pax Romana.
Caesar's Legion serves as more than just antagonist force. It's an embodiment of Caesar's ideological purity. The Legion is merciless to its enemies, but provides security and stability within its ranks. To followers, Caesar is not just a leader, but a demigod, promising salvation through submission. His control is absolute, his authority unchallenged within his lands, a stark contrast to the fragmented and often corrupt democracy of the NCR.
The bombs wiped the slate clean. Human civilization descended to a level of ignorance that effectively set our cultural progress back to zero. The NCR has all the problems of the ancient Roman Republic. Extreme bureaucracy, corruption, extensive senatorial infighting.
Interacting with Caesar presents one of the game's most profound moral dilemmas. On one hand, the security and order offered by the Legion can be appealing, especially in a world full of danger and instability. On the other hand, you must consider if peace purchased with such barbarity can ever be just. The choices you make in relation to Caesar's Legion critically shape the political landscape of New Vegas, influencing which factions rise and which falter. Caesar is a complex figure, symbolic of the extreme measures some may believe are necessary to achieve order in a lawless world. His character challenges you to think critically about leadership, power, and morality in a society struggling to rebuild itself. By deciding Caesar's fate, you have to reflect on the broader question of what kind of world you want to live in and what means you're willing to accept to bring about your vision of the future. Caesar and his Legion are one of my favorite aspects in this game. I could go more in detail of how he repeated history instead of learning from it, or how he didn't build an empire but a cult, but to avoid the video being hours long, I'll stop here. If you'd like a video dedicated to him, just let me know in the comments below. If Caesar's rule is the iron fist of the past reinvented, Mr. House represents a future driven by technology and vision. While Caesar looks backward to ancient Rome for his model of order, Mr. House looks forward, leveraging technology to shape a new civilization on his own terms. He is a stark contrast to the primal brutality of the Legion, offering a glimpse into a world ruled not by force, but by innovation and control. Or in other words, he's a man with a plan! The mysterious overlord of New Vegas is more than just a survivor of the old world. He's its last tycoon. A brilliant mind who predicted the nuclear apocalypse and preserved himself just long enough to see his predictions come to pass. Awakened in the world in ruins, he adopts the mantle not just of a ruler, but of a survivor, intent of rebuilding civilization under the neon lights of New Vegas.
To enforce, one must have force, a position of strength. Years ago, when I detected NCR scouts roaming the Mojave, I could tell from their uniforms that these were no mere tribesmen. I knew it was only a matter of time before an army appeared to take control of the dam, and I knew my Securitrons wouldn't be enough to oppose them. And so I recruited the 3 families. Vegas belongs to me because I mustered enough strength to bring the NCR to the bargaining table.
Mr. House's approach to governance is technocratic and autocratic. He's got all the charm of a robot and all the flexibility of a steel beam. He rules New Vegas with an iron grip, mediated through an army of Securitrons that patrol the streets, ensuring the order and obedience. His rule is justified by his belief in his own vision and intellect. For him, democracy is too messy, too fraught with error to achieve the efficiency and order that New Vegas requires. House's vision for New Vegas is one of prosperity, but it's prosperity on his terms, not the people's. He views the city as his project, his creation, and thus his property. The citizens are less constituents and more components in his well-oiled machine. This perspective poses a moral challenge. Is it acceptable for one man to hold so much power if it means the rebirth of society?
I prefer the term autocrat. I would rule as a chief executive. I would not answer to a board of directors or any other entity. Nothing to impede progress. If you want to see the fate of democracies, look out the windows. My judgment. I have no interest in abusing others, just as I have no interest in legislating or otherwise dictating what people do in their private time. Nor have I any interest in being worshipped as some kind of machine god messiah. I am impervious to such corrupting ambitions. But autocracy? Firm control in the hands of a technological and economic visionary? Yes, that Vegas shall have.
Aligning with Mr. House means buying into his vision of a controlled, stable future where safety and order are guaranteed by the constant surveillance and intervention of his robot enforcers. It's a vision that promises to shield humanity from its own worst impulses, but at the cost of personal freedom and self-determination. Mr. House stands as a testament to human ambition, offering a path that could lead to a new golden age for humanity, just with a few more eyes on you. It's like when people say, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to worry about. But imagine that person also being your nosy neighbor Jared with a drone and a megaphone. His character forces you to weigh the benefits of technological advancement and autocracy against the costs of losing the messy, chaotic freedom that defines human experience. Exploring the contrasting ideologies of Caesar and Mr. House gives us a broader understanding of the potential futures for New Vegas. Each leader's vision comes with its own set of promises and dangers. But what about independent New Vegas, with you as the captain? This approach will emphasize your autonomy and the possibility of forging a unique path that isn't bound by the visions of major faction leaders. You have the option to carve out a vision of independence with a little help from Yes Man.
Then I'd have to help you. I mean, it seems pretty obvious Benny wouldn't want me to, but hey, not my fault I can't say no. This is gonna be great. I'm gonna help you accomplish so much, whether I want to or not.
Yes Man is the personification of autonomy in Fallout New Vegas. He is a reprogrammed Securiton, offering you a chance to lead New Vegas as its independent ruler. This path is not about replacing one ruler with another. It's about establishing a new kind of governance, where your choices directly shape the future without overarching control from established powers. Yes Man offers a seemingly ideal path, autonomy and freedom from all other factions, and giving full control to you. At first glance, it's the route that promises the most personal freedom and empowerment for the Courier. You become not just a participant in the Mojave's fate, but its main architect. However, this independence is like a tip of an iceberg. What you see on the surface is only a small fraction of the complexities and challenges that lie beneath. Choosing this path allows you to effectively seize control of New Vegas, leveraging the same network of Securitrons that once ensured Mr. House's command. This path proposes a new order where you can establish a governance based on your own principles and choices. Not bad, right? But the difference between you and Mr. House is that you don't have a plan, do you? Mr. House had centuries to devise his strategies, backed by immense tech resources and a long-term vision. You, on the other hand, are an effective killer at best, and a lost puppy in a wasteland at worst. When you remove a figure like Mr. House, you don't just take over a throne, you inherit the chaos that comes with a power vacuum. You are now responsible for the lives of thousands, the economy, and the security of New Vegas. Without the experience or the infrastructural support that House had, filling his shoes is a daunting task. How will you deal with crime or even basic governance? Freedom sounds great until you realize every faction in Mojave sees it as an opportunity to advance their own agendas. The NCR, the Brotherhood of Steel, or even smaller groups like Great Khans will test your resolve. Will you forge alliances, suppress opposition, or try to appease these factions? Each choice will have ramifications, shaping the Wasteland's future and testing your diplomatic skills. Of course, you could just remove all of them through Yes Man, but that would treat the symptom, not the root cause. All you would do is create a power vacuum for someone else to fill it, and they will be aware of how you operate before even starting their faction. Also, what happens when you die? Who runs New Vegas? Or do you just do what Mr. House did to preserve yourself? These questions challenge the sustainability of your role. A truly independent New Vegas needs not just a strong leader, but a robust system of governance that can withstand the tests of time and ambition. Choosing independence through yes men certainly paints you as a beacon of freedom and self-determination. However, with great power comes great responsibility. Poor management or underestimating the complexities of leadership could plunge the city into greater chaos than ever before, possibly leading to anarchy or a takeover by another faction. If you manage well, New Vegas could truly become a land of opportunity and freedom, setting a new standard in the wasteland. But even then, it's just one city. And at that point, why not just side with NCR who are looking at the bigger picture? Opting for the yes man route isn't just about rejecting other leaders. It's about believing you can do better. It's a bold move for what it's worth, but it's also a potentially very naive choice. But this is one of the reasons why I love Fallout New Vegas. None of these factions or choices are quote-unquote good. They all suck. What makes these options so compelling and so frustrating is their stark reflection of real-world decisions. There are no perfect answers. Nobody is just good or bad. There are only compromises and trade-offs. This is the genius of Fallout New Vegas. It's not just a game, but a look into the murky waters of governance and ethics. Every decision is weighty, fraught with potential fallout, and there are no easy outs. The factions are deeply flawed, the leaders are all too human, and every victory is stained with sins. It's these shades of grey that makes the game's narrative so rich and its world so immersive. But it's not just the main storyline that makes this game so great. The world itself is a character that holds so many interesting secrets and stories. You're not the only thing that lives in it, you're just one of many. Unlike Fallout 3 or 4, New Vegas takes place in the western part of the United States, which brings with it a distinct flavor of Americana intertwined with a post-apocalyptic residue of the Fallout universe. This setting infuses every corner of the game with a rugged survivalist charm that is different from the urban decay of the capital or Commonwealth. The Mojave Desert is not just a barren wasteland, it's a vibrant ecosystem filled with communities, creatures, and cultures that have adapted to the harsh realities of post-nuclear life. Beyond the major powers fighting for control, the Mojave Desert is a home to numerous smaller groups and settlements, each with their unique traditions and struggles. From the tech-savvy followers of the apocalypse, who dedicate themselves to helping where they can, to the group of ghouls who are working towards going into space. These groups add layers of complexity to the political landscape. This wasteland has a range of iconic landmarks, each with its own backstory. The mysterious Black Mountain overrun by supermutants broadcasting bizarre radio messages, or the eerie tranquility of Jacobstown, nested in the snowy mountains away from the desert heat, where supermutants and Nightkin try to find peace away from the world that fears them. And of course, the presence of casinos and gambling also speaks to Nevada's history. As you traverse the Mojave Desert, you'll stumble upon countless stories and scenarios that aren't tied to the main quest, but are integral to the world's narrative's fabric. Abandoned campsites, hidden caches, rogue robots, and distressed travelers offer small, personal insights into the life and death in the desert, each adding to the feeling that the Mojave lives and breathes independently of your actions, especially when you find some of the vaults in the world. Each of them provide a unique story, but Vault 11 and Vault 22 are my personal favorites. Vault 11 stands as one of the most disturbing psychological experiments in the Fallout universe. Initially, residents were told they must sacrifice one person every year to ensure the survival of others. The true nature of the Vault experiment, however, was to test the limits of authority and morality under pressure.
Greetings, martyr, and welcome. If you're here now, it means you've been offered up as a sacrifice so that your vault can continue to thrive. Close your eyes now and imagine what joys await you in the next life, the afterlife. Can you see them? Good.
The sacrificial requirement was a lie. If they had refused to sacrifice anyone, they would have all have been spared. Vault 11's story is an exploration of morality, authority, and group dynamics. As you explore this vault, audio logs and terminal entries reveal the escalating tension and despair among the residents, culminating in a mass mutual suicide by the last few survivors, who discovered the true nature of their test too late. and couldn't live with their sins.
If there's anyone out there at all, I hope they never have to find out. Ready, Harry? Yeah. No, wait!
Vault 22, on the other hand, offers a stark contrast to the bleak moral tests of Vault 11. Known as the Greenhouse Vault, this facility was filled with lush vegetation and advanced agricultural technologies intended to revolutionize the post-apocalyptic food production. However, this experiment turned catastrophic when the plant life became infectious and aggressive, overtaking the vault and its residents. The vault's overgrown interior, filled with deadly spores and mutated creatures, illustrates the dangers of unchecked scientific ambition. The story of Vault 22 unfolds through environmental clues and scattered data that you find. The vault serves as a cautionary tale about the ecological balance and what happens if humans play God with nature. These vaults, alongside Mojave's other landmarks and factions, contribute to a setting that is as rich in history as it is in danger. The stories you discover in Fallout New Vegas go beyond mere survival. They invite you to think about complexities of human nature, the corrupting influence of power, and the potential for redemption or ruin. Each step through the desert sands is a step through history, reshaped by the choices of those who came before you and those you will make yourself. And one day, your story will belong in the same group as these. So why does Fallout New Vegas stand out, not just in Fallout series, but among open-world RPGs in general? Firstly, the game's setting and its narrative structure make the Mojave Wasteland feel more than just a backdrop for post-apocalyptic survival. It's a complex character in its own right. Each faction, deserted vault, or dusty trail tells a story of ambition and survival. Moreover, the game's approach to choice and consequence is what truly sets it apart. Unlike many other games where choices can feel binary and superficial, New Vegas demands more from you. It presents a world where the lines between right and wrong are blurred, where every decision carries weight, and the ripple effects can alter the course of the entire story. The complexity of Fallout New Vegas characters, from the tragic nobility of Chief Hanlon to the calculated charisma of Mr. House, adds depth to this narrative. They're not mere quest givers, they're reflections of the game's broader themes about power, freedom, and the cost of peace. Their struggles and ideologies provoke you to think critically, not just about the strategies of gameplay, but about the philosophies behind the choices. This game is a rare example of a narrative that respects the intelligence of its players. It trusts you to navigate the intricacies and to appreciate its subtleties. A gamble that pays off by making every playthrough uniquely meaningful. And there's so much more that makes Fallout New Vegas unforgettable. We haven't even touched on the Kings, the Brotherhood, or the Birdman, not to mention the amazing DLCs this game has, or how most quests are named after songs. While newer games might surpass it in graphics and scope, Fallout New Vegas remains a benchmark for storytelling depth and player engagement in video games. It's a testament to the power of narrative in gaming as a medium, a dusty, neon-lit beacon for what RPGs can achieve.
Yes, sir. Vestal reporting for duty. Please assume the position.
If you enjoyed this video, I also made a video on Nico Bellic from GTA 4 you can check out next. Thanks for watching.